GDS Lab tutorial 5.2.4, setting up a standard shear. The monotonic shear test is a fundamental geotechnical test used to determine the shear strength of the soil or other materials in a shear box. It involves two main phases, sample consolidation and horizontal shear under constant velocity. This guide explains the steps and settings required for performing this test in GDS Lab software. So, first you want to select from the test module list monotonic loading. It should be on logging as default, so you can select monotonic loading here and look like something like this. You have your first set block, which is pretty much the only set block that you can do too much changes to, and then you have three options for the vertical load, which is axle load, axle displacement and axle stress. So in my case I'm going to set a target to 2 kilonewtons. You also have the option to use an initial value, which would mean at this moment it would be 0, but again I'm going to use 2 kilonewtons. Then I'm going to keep my horizontal velocity at 0 millimeters per minute to prevent movement during the consolidation phase. Then I'm happy with all of this straight away. The rest I will deal with in the next phase, but I'm going to go ahead and click apply, and then what it will do, it will apply it to this test list here. Then what I'm going to do is click new, and then it should make this next stage, which again is also monotonic loading, which you need to select if it hasn't already selected. And then this time I will be using the initial value on axle displacement. So at the moment it's 0. Then I want the horizontal velocity to be 0.05 millimeters per minute. And then I want to select the optional test termination conditions. Because I've got horizontal velocity, I then need to make sure I've got the terminations conditions to make sure that when it's met, the test stops or cycles round, as I'm going to explain in a second. But here I've got horizontal displacement greater than 5 and horizontal displacement less than 0. Anyway, the relevance of this, you can see it reads here on the current values section. It's got axle load, displacement, horizontal load and displacement as well, all reading at 0 at the moment. But the fundamental point of this test, you've got a cyclic area which you can toggle using this button here. And at the moment I've got 3 cycles, and what this means is that because I've set the termination conditions up here to 5 and 0, it means that it will keep going using the horizontal velocity up to 5, and then once it reaches 5 it will then cycle back down, reach 0, cycle back up, and it will do it 3 times. So once you're happy with all of this, then you can click apply again, and then you can head towards the test. So if you remember, our first stage is the consolidation phase, where the vertical load stabilizes while horizontal displacement remains at 0. And then our second phase is shearing, where our horizontal displacement increases as the sample shears under constant velocity. So I'm happy with all of my graphs of how they're set out, so I'm going to go ahead and start the test. Okay, and as you can see, already our displacement and load are now staying steady. So this would happen as we set quite a while, so we don't need to wait here. So I'm going to go ahead and press the next stage, but for you guys obviously you can decide what you want to do. So when we see next stage, we should see it ramp up quickly, which it is now doing. We can see the horizontal displacement gradually increasing here by, was it 0.001 almost per second? It looks like 0.5 actually, but yeah, there you go. And yeah, that is the test. So just remember, you can set your termination conditions to whatever you want to do while you're running the test or just before you run the test, so you can do any combination of these. But yeah, that is the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching. This has been running a standard shear test. Thank you.